Welcome back to MTFC TV. During this time is new first-team manager Steve Kittrick. Steve, how does it feel to be Town manager?
It's great feeling to be back in football at a good club.
What was it in particular that drew you to this job? I know you were linked to a lot of jobs on the internet and in the media that perhaps people thought you were going to take up, but you've chosen this one. What's your thinking behind that?
I think the big draw is that it's a club that's got a lot of history in non-league football, and I think the biggest draw was that the board have got a football background, and they know this league and they know the leagues, and after speaking to them, they wanted to push on the field as much as they have done off the field.
Can you see yourself building a successful team here? Been someone who's been around these leagues, you know what's needed. Obviously, you've won this league with Guiseley. Do you feel there's a chance here to develop Matlock to perhaps a playoff contender or even better?
I think that's. I mean, that was one of the things that was asked when we came, and we've not come here to make the numbers up. We've come here to win this league, or get into the top six, and that's what we're about. I mean, me and Chris are very successful at what we do, and we want to create a team that's exciting. Put a smile on people's faces, give the fans something to look forward to on a Saturday afternoon, and I think success breeds success.
Now, I think if I don't ask you about transfer targets, I'll get mauled by our viewers, so I must ask. First and foremost, is there one player in particular who is your main target, or is it a case of you've got 3 or 4 in mind already who you want to bring in, who know your style and will perhaps filter that down to the rest of the squad?
Well, we've got targets, and we have spoke to 4 or 5 people since we've been appointed, and we have got targets. But it's just hard to, at this time of the season, it's all about what people want financially. We've got to be very careful that we don't overpay for someone, because that can be a failing. I think every manager in this league has come a victim of that. But we have got us targets, but it's very, very early days, and we want to get a squad together that's going to compete. And I think you will get your spine of your team that people have seen at other clubs.
With managing at this level before and the experience you have, do you see yourself revisiting any of your old clubs to bring in players, or is it just a case of whoever is about, you decide it's not based on the history?
Well, no, I think historically every manager will fetch in people that they can work with and trust, because I think football's about trust. If you've had a player that's played for you for 2 or 3 years, you know what you're getting from pre-season till the end of the season. And I think we've got enough experience, me and Chris, to fetch a team that we do trust. There'll be 1 or 2 players that'll come on the periphery that we don't really know, and we don't know a lot of Matlock players, and they've got some good players here. They may need a different direction. They may need just some faith put into them. I've had a look at the list of the players, and they're not bad players. It may be just where they've ended up at the moment. They're not in a good place, and we want people to play for Matlock that's got a smile on the face, that's hungry. I mean, the big thing is hunger. And like I've said on my other interviews, that if you're old enough, you're old enough. So there may be a couple of kids in the academy that we can pick up and play and invite them into the first team setup.
I watched a few of your previous interviews at your old club, Scarborough, and you mentioned in one of them how you felt it was important to meet a player before signing them, before anything, even that come up, so you got a feel of them. Why is that so important to you, so our viewers will know?
I think you've got to get to know the player, what happens away from football, and get to know them, and you get a gut feeling when you meet each other whether you could be able to work together. It doesn't always work like that, but 99% of the players that I've worked with, if they got opportunity, would probably work with each other again. And that's where we are. So we get to know what the background is. We've always worked with players that want to fetch their families to grounds where we go, make them feel welcome, because I think if you get to know what goes on away from football, you understand if they have to have time away from football, family issues, work issues, you get to know what they're doing. And that's where we are. That's the sort of team we are. We've got to build that, knowing the player inside out. We can get the best out of them on the pitch.
Looking at the squad as you have, I know you've not had a chance to meet and talk with the players yet, I don't believe. Do you feel it's a squad that you will have to make a lot of additions to? or do you feel there's a case of there's a foundation there and you can build upon it already?
Well, if I'm totally honest, I don't know enough about the players to either go one way or the other. I think we've got to speak to everybody, then get a foundation of what we want. We know what we need in the spine of our team, from goalkeeper, centre halves, midfield, strikers. That's where you build your team, and they've got to be tried and tested and trusted. So I've spoke to one or two managers that's employed these people before. I've had some good, I've had some negatives, I've had some positives, I've had some average comments, but different managers are able to get different things out of different players.
Do you feel for some players this will be a fresh start, a clean slate, a chance for them to prove to you, not perhaps you not having the knowledge of some of the players, to prove why they should be at the club?
Well, that's an album, really. I don't know. I mean, once we start speaking to them, and like I said, a lot of the players I have spoke to other managers, but because manager will tell you what you want to hear, we've got to assess it ourselves, and we have got certain things in mind, and there will be people leaving and there will be people staying. So, we need to get that. To be fair to the players, we need to get that put to bed sooner than later, and then get our strengths together with the players, and move forward and add to what we need.
I know in the article you did with our press officer Ian Richardson, you mentioned that you felt you were capable of building a team here and managing a team here that's capable of pushing for the playoffs and even silverware. Is that something that you think is going to be a short-term or a long-term goal? Is it something you feel you can do this season, or do you feel it's going to take time?
It all depends what personnel we get in. I mean, you've only got to look at our record. We've been successful wherever we've been, and silverware and success breeds success, doesn't it, on and off the pitch? So if we can get a team that starts well and finishes well this season, and we deal with what happens in the middle, win, lose, or draw, we'll get where we need to be. But I just think it's very early days. We've got to assess it, but we haven't come here not to win something. So whether it's County Cup, whether it's League Cup, have a good run in the FA Cup, finish in the top six. That's where our aim is, to make this club a force again in football like it used to be years ago.
We asked Chris the same question, but I'll ask it you as well to hear it come from you and hear your opinion. What style of football does a Steve Kittrick side play? Historically,
we've always played good, attractive football. But moving forward, we've got to build on that attractive football. But there'll be days when we've got to go longer. There'll be days when we've got to go shorter. And there'll be days when we've got to rough it out and be rough and tumble like the olden days. But the players that we will fetch to the club understand that on a week-to-week basis. But historically, my teams have always played football.
You're clearly someone who's very knowledgeable when it comes to the history of the league and the history of this club in particular. It's a club that since the 70s perhaps hasn't reached those glory years. Is there a competition in mind that you're targeting, that's your main focus, or is it a case of you're not putting all your apples into one cart, you want success in everything?
I just think we've just got to, if we get a good team together, and you've got to win games. I mean, we've been on 15, 16, 17 game runs. And if cup games are in there, you play it and you want to win every game. I will not send a team out not to win any game. You've got to win football games, because good habits breed good habits, and that's what we need.
We spoke briefly about the academy. The academy here has produced a lot of players who have gone on to Football League sides. You've said already that you feel if players are good enough, they're old enough. Are you a manager that's going to be prepared to blood the younger players into the first team squad if the chance arises?
Definitely, we've done it every club we've been to, so I don't see Matlock being any different. I know Jamie Yates, who's looked after the academy. We've touched on social media, and he knows the leagues inside out, so he'll know the strength and weakness of his own players. And I think it's the physicality side of it that's the big challenge for whoever comes in. But we'll assess that in training and pre-season and sort of take it from there. But we will build what we need to build. If there's three lads that are good enough in that level from the academy, and we think they're good enough and strong enough, then we'll deal with them and they'll be with us.
We've seen yourself and Chris have come in. Is it a case that will you be adding a coach, for example, I don't know if you know, currently we've already got goalkeeping coach, physio, whether you choose to keep them as part of your team or not. We're yet to see. Will it be a case of, if you bring a coach in, or are you just happy with you and Chris to cover all bases?
Well, Chris is working towards his A licence, so I think it'd be wrong of me to fit someone in above him. But no, Chris is going to be doing the coaching. We're going to keep the physio and the goalkeeping coach because they're an integral part of the club, and we think it's important that we don't need to go anywhere. Good physio, good goalkeeping coach, the part of the club. We'll learn from them about the club as much as we can learn them where we want to be.
We've had an early blow with the news of Craig King having an ACL injury. He's going to be out, looked possibly a year plus, which is a big blow for him personally. Is that something you were aware of prior to taking the job? Do you have any experience with players who have had long-term injuries? And if so, as a manager, how do you manage that?
Well, I mean, time determines how long people are out, and to be fair, Kingy, we found out about it, and it's a massive blow because I think he's one of the better players in this league, and we would have added. He would have helped us fetch 1 or 2 players here anyway. But regarding injuries, you've got to assess them and leave that to the physios to assess it. And time-wise, it's sometimes it can be 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 12 weeks, or it can be a long term like Kingy's out for. Is it 12 months? Yeah, for 12 months. So it's a long period, but he's a good player, but he'll bounce back and hopefully he'll come back to Matlock when he gets himself right.
Right, I could keep talking all that, but I'll not do, as I believe you've got meetings to have with the chairman and such. So I thank you for your time, and once again, welcome you to the club. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much for your time.